Roger, copy.
And everybody, happy Thursday, happy MoonDAO demo day. Good to see everybody here. Kick off here in a minute. Let me post the agenda here in the ground control chat. If this works. All right. Oh, I don't have the links to the. Well, it's in the announcement shown. The links to the final reports. I can probably edit that here as we kick off. But yeah, today is the MoonDAO demo day. We're going to be showcasing projects that have completed during Q2, so during the April to end of June cycle. This is a chance for projects to showcase what they've been working on, what kind of impact they've had, how they've made an impact to the MoonDAO community. And after the final reports process, we open it up for a voting process for all the MoonDAO members, and the MoonDAO members ultimately get the final say in terms of where those retroactive rewards could be distributed. So every quarter we have a percentage of our liquid assets in the MoonDAO treasury that get distributed to projects. I think this quarter something along the lines of $40,000. I'm not sure, it might have changed with the fluctuating ETH prices in these past couple days or weeks. But yeah, we distribute those to all the completed projects based on their results and impact and how MoonDAO voters value those results and impact. So ultimately, it's up to all of you guys to decide where we should distribute these resources based on proof of work, essentially. We also do have a 10% set aside of that ETH pool and a geometric distribution that goes out to geometric distribution of our vMOONEY that goes out to all the projects and contributors. But 10% of that, I was going to say, is reserved for the community contribution pool. So that's all the independent contributions that a lot of you guys have submitted during these past few weeks or even months. We got some really amazing contributions from members of the community. Really cool to see what some of y'all are working on. Or some of the guest speakers that we've had pop in, they're also eligible for those sorts of rewards. Yeah, thank you, Mitchie, for posting the links to the final report. But yeah, we can get things kicked off here. We have 3 final reports that will be presented. It will be the executive branch Q2. This is actually a 2-quarter long process, but we're going to be presenting our kind of midstream progress, what we've been working on there. Also the See in Space London event, which happened at the beginning of, or I guess end of April, mid-April, something like that. And the Treasure Core financial dashboard. So yeah, we can kick things off here. I guess I'll invite both Sarah. Oh,
Hi everyone.
Hey Sarah, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah. So I think this is your first time obviously doing a final report presentation, but if you can share your screen and share the report, that would be great. And also if you want to showcase the dashboard on the Treasure Core website too by sharing your screen, that would be excellent. But yeah, just feel free to take things away and what you guys were working on over the past quarter.
Yeah, sure. Just as a reminder, I'm going to share the screen now. Entire screen. Okay. And you could see my screen now?
I can see it.
Okay, great. So this is basically our website, Treasure Corp. We are a startup. Last year, we founded Treasure Corp in a 10-day build-a-thon, venture-a-thon. If you're interested to do something similar, I can also post in the chat afterwards when I'm done, where you can apply and get funding, etc. And I think that's also interesting for MoonDAO itself if you're looking for like funding. And I think it's good to share those resources. I've also met some people who are doing similar similar DAO approaches, but from the European side, from blockchain network connections. So I think it's really good to see that in the space. And this is where we thought about, the financial part. And as one of our members, Ways, shout out to Ways in the audience, he was already part of MoonDAO and, brought the idea to us that we should probably base our data just MoonDAO is a great ecosystem, and then that's how we came about this idea. And when I joined the when I joined as a member, I was kind of sold with the onboarding process because I think the human aspect, Ryan, at the time you reached out, like you're like, what issues are you facing? I can help. I think I missed that in a lot of different DAOs because I was just trying to be part of a community before we share, our product, and I think that also helps a lot. So thank you for that. And just to cut it short, what our product does is give you a real-time insight into what the treasury looks like. And from a perspective of the executive branch and the perspective of the different roles within, MoonDAO, it's important to understand what financial impact, right, you have through the proposals, through your individual contributions, but also as a community. And this is what we're trying to achieve for all DAOs in a standard way, but also where there are synergies and some minor configurations we can do that are custom to the DAO, we want to do it. And I'll share the link to Treasure Corp afterwards also in the chat. But again, this is just the main overview page. And to recap on our project in Q2 within the MoonDAO ecosystem, we did the testing of our product together with you. So thank you so much for joining and thank you for all your ideas. We'll go through this report just to give you background of what was the findings. Let me just close these. And let me know if my screen is too small.
Looks okay on my end.
Okay, great. So our main aim again was to see, if there's a way to provide you with financial backed decisions through our platform and to test that. And what we did found that 70 to 80% of the features we have inbuilt work for most of the users. And those users, being mainly active contributors, which is according to the ecosystem is Moon Settler. We've got prospective members, which I think isn't inbuilt directly, but is obviously from the outreach, who want to verify if a DAO is trustworthy. That's also something that is important for growth, right? As you're also looking to increase that. And then you have the project leads who need to see different information like inflows, outflows of what's going in and out of the treasury, and can also deep dive into the detailed transactions. And you also have the different types of MOONEY holders. You have the locked MOONEY, the staked, and you have the vMOONEY. Also delegate versus voter. So delegates need to understand to a certain limit what are the funding limits that they can go with submitting a proposal versus voters who just want simplified, what is this proposal going to do to the whole treasury? What am I really voting on, right? And so this is also important that we found as an observation, and you probably knew this, but also it's good to go through this report when you have some time just to understand what are the different financial metrics each role in the community is looking for. And I just want to say shout out to everyone because everyone here is doing something that's so specific to the roles they have, and it's so important to the growth of the community. But at some point, to understand exactly where it's all going, those metrics will give you a even deeper dive into, okay, if the executive branch is looking at a certain budget this way and I'm looking at it this way, this is probably where we're going to have some conflict, right? And there's nothing wrong with conflict. It's just a point of connecting. And I always believe in being in relationship through conflict and connection, and that's part of the community. So this is where I think having some financial insights background, like, and I was saying this through the testing. I grew up without that financial knowledge. I ended up in the financial sector, so I feel lucky that I was able to do that. But I also understand that, if I had not, it would be very hard for me to grasp a lot of the financial talk, right? Sometimes we get some newsletters, oh, this is the financial update. Okay, but what am I really looking at, right? And that's what we're trying to break down for you. And so the result of our dashboard showed us that we could enhance all the tabs we have in our existing product to tailor it more specifically for MoonDAO. And this was something we put into the key result number 2. So we could improve our product on a fundamental level, and that would be quite easy for us. And then on the very specific MoonDAO request, we saw two very unique statements made, that we need a cross-chain data information into the dashboard, that because there's an Arbitrum wallet and there's a ETH wallet for the treasury, and that it's important to be able to pick up on that. And that's something that was really, stressed. And also the other thing that was stressed as a feature is the reward system integration. I think this was brought up as, I'm just going to shout out to Philip, because as a non-exec member, it was obvious that the visualization of that reward system was missing. Like, how do we see it? Who's getting what? Where is it? Is there like a trust factor to the reward system? Not saying that there's no trust, but more like, okay, how can we make it a bit more visible and easy to read? Because the work is in there. The work is being put there. Also, thanks. I saw Michi put it in the what was done this week, but I think it's more like the member requested, okay, we need to see it a bit more visibly, like, is this what I'm expecting out of the ecosystem, right? So that was 2 asks, which we thought were really important to regurgitate back to you, so you understand how it was seen in the process. And so based on those requests, we came up with a technical implementation strategy. So it would be possible for us to update our architecture to get a cross-chain treasury aggregate. We can use safe APIs with single wallet views, which could also be upgraded to support multi-wallet. So if I could plug in the MoonDAO multi-wallet module, then I'd have everything, including the executive branch, which is a separate wallet, right? And then we could also support visibility across all projects, and Tableland integration, which goes into the second ask. And this would actually be quite digestible, as MoonDAO already has it set up in Tableland, and it will reduce the tracking error of the data accuracy issues. And then because of the discussion on, well, who do we consider a voter? Who do we consider, having the MOONEY staked or unstake held? If we integrate a staking contract, this would actually enable us to show you the computing power of the accuracy of the voter power more acutely. and it would, give you also an idea of who's being in and out of the votes, etc. So that would be our main findings and strategy. We deep dive into it a little bit more, where we could provide enhancements for each dashboard, like, a very nice Sankey or heat map visualization we spoke about to show you what the reward pool flows like. And if you Google Sankey, it's a really simple graph just showing, from point A to point Z where the finances are flowing per category. And then you have the multi-sig integration, and we just go through it for each dashboard. So I don't want to take too much of time going through that, but I do hope that we could give you more successant information, and give you a better idea of what you are looking for in the financial insights of the DAO. And again, just to reiterate, our platform that exists already covers 70 to 80% of the users needed. One goal we had was to interview 25 members. We ended up successfully doing it with 5 members. And I think, that's a ratio of 1 of 5. For us, that's a success. So we really want to thank you for your time every week that you took with us. And, for those 2 features where we have the main sort of customization, we would propose that we propose a new proposal. So many proposals there to see how we can do it, because in our initial proposal we said this is for free. We're not really expecting anything. We were pleasantly surprised that there was a reward, and very humbled to be included in the process. Thank you. And we also have something as goodwill as back to the treasury. But we would put probably a cost to the second proposal based on our estimations, which we can only give once we start that proposal process. But obviously, what's in your mind to continue with us is what's more important than what we propose, right? So if you're happy with what we've done, how we've worked together, we appreciate your feedback. And also, again, shout out to Philip and the execs for being there every week. And, I know you were represented as a community, so also thank you for, giving your feedback. Yeah, Ryan, I think that wraps it up. What do we usually do afterwards? Questions or?
Yeah, we can open it up if any senators have any questions that they'd like to hop up on the floor, or any non-senators have any questions that they'd like to put into the chat. Feel free. Bill's got a question. Hang on. Okay. I'm inviting you to speak, Phil. I don't know what happened there. Not working. Okay. I guess Phil's having issues on his end, but yeah, Phil is saying, so does this project calibrate your cost, effort, and time?
Absolutely. I mean, as any startup going into it, you sort of think time is money, and I think for both of our ends, at least that's my feeling, that we both had a good positive experience in this testing phase. So thank you. Yeah, Phil, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I got my mic working. Thank you. Yeah, I was more asking, like you mentioned next proposal, and so this proposal was like a discovery phase, but a lot of times I think of the follow-up proposals are really good at measuring the scope of what the follow-up would be. And when I was asking about the calibration, I'm asking if obviously the scope of work, but the scope of effort, how long it took to complete work, basically, so you know how much to ask for as fair compensation.
We have an idea. We're just still comparing what is out there in the market, so it's not overly priced and also still, friendly.
Right. That's the calibration part I was thinking. So at least once you nail down a price, you can just have it as a multiplier.
Exactly. Anyway. I mean, also that's a question for us. Like, what price would you as a potential client be willing to pay? Because I want to be very, if I can be honest with you, we've seen, in the ecosystem, prices ranging between 20 to 50K for something like this, but that's definitely not what we're going into. And we're open, to your ideas, how you see our platform, because at the end of the day, we're servicing, users like yourselves, and we'd love to hear from you. Well, what would you be willing to, put into this?
Thanks. I have one last comment. Really impressed with the final report. I think it's a good example of sharing the results, which are, from the journey along the way. I also would encourage users, or yourselves at Treasure Corp or whatever, to use this tool to keep MoonDAO accountable. So if you have any doubts or concerns, or something doesn't feel right in terms of what we're funding, where the money's coming from, where the money's going, or you're just curious, this tool is how we keep the DAO accountable. And if it doesn't do what you want, say something so that Sarah and the team know what to develop next. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, thank you to Sarah and obviously the whole Treasure Corp team for the project over this past quarter. Obviously, it'll go up to MoonDAO voters to decide between this and the other projects how that's going to be allocated. But yeah, we really appreciate you bringing forward these sorts of ideas of the community. I don't know, Sarah, do you have any last words before we shift gears to the next project?
No, thank you so much. Much appreciated, and also Phil for those words. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Cool. So yeah, Pablo, you're up here. We've got, I'll let you take it, either See in Space London or the Executive Branch Q2 report, however you want to kick things off.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. And thanks, Sarah. Cool. I'll kick us off with just the Executive Branch final report. So I'll be presenting that, and also See in Space. So the primary objective for this iteration of the Executive Branch is to increase MoonDAO's recurring revenue. And the way that we're doing this is via the Launchpad. So this is a platform for teams in the network that MoonDAO is supporting to launch initiatives, get funded by the community and anyone else that wants to fund their idea, and then receive support from MoonDAO, and that's financial support via providing liquidity, but also the community and kind of the distribution network that MoonDAO has. And so today I'm going to dive into some of the updates that we've had with the Launchpad, and then I'll get into some of these other objectives that are a little bit less flashy, but cool. We'll start with the Launchpad itself. So a lot of work went in over the last quarter in making the design really tight, fixing all the bugs on the back end, making sure everything is ready for this first flagship Launchpad initiative. So leveraged a lot of really cool AI artwork. Shout out to Miguel, who created this little piece of art here. So you can see that, and it's actually it's not just the Launchpad that received kind of a polish up. It's a lot of the rest of the app, and I'll show some of the updates around there too. But yeah, missions So you can see basically a mission can set how much ETH they want to raise. We set up a Juicebox project for them. We then support them not just through the launch of their token, but then afterwards with liquidity for their token. And a really cool feature of this is that on every trade of that token, there's a 1% fee that goes back to vMOONEY holders. So a big part of the kind of technical architecture behind this is the ability to add a Uniswap fee hook. So essentially, we will launch a liquidity pool for the token, and then all of those fees accrue to vMOONEY holders. And on a periodic basis, those vMOONEY holders can grab the fees from these tokens, as well as the Mooney token itself, which will also have a 1% trade fee that accrues back to vMOONEY holders. So yeah, it's a pretty cool method of rewarding vMOONEY holders and of creating revenue for the DAO. Yeah, essentially, well, a lot of that is explained here in this tokenomics section. Got a little bug there. This is a live demo on localhost. But yeah, essentially, contributors receive half of the token. The team gets a portion of the token itself. Then we reserve a portion for liquidity, and then MoonDAO also gets a chunk of the token. So essentially, what we're doing is taking what MoonDAO has already done in sending 2 people to space, and then creating all of the DAO infrastructure to continue supporting operations for the DAO, and packaging that as a service to other groups that want to launch their own token, and do so in a way that is following best practices, and then supports the broader MoonDAO community. So yeah, backing this is a Juicebox project. We're reading all of this information live from the Juicebox protocol. You can contribute in USD and on ramp via debit card. We also support Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, Venmo, basically all of the on-ramp methods that Privy provides. Some of them sometimes don't work super well, but we're aiming to improve that whole process end to end. We've done a lot of work in just trying to create better onboarding and on-ramp experiences, so that people can on-ramp in 60 seconds and then immediately contribute in a way that feels very native, without them even necessarily needing to know that it's crypto on the back end. Yeah, creating a mission is relatively simple. You have to be a team in the network. You enter the details about your mission. I won't do all of the data entry here. You enter your goals, how much you want to raise, yeah, and then we do a bunch of stuff on the back end to configure your token and make sure that basically you're good to go immediately. So yeah, something that I think is worth calling out is just the speed at which you can start to get funding for a mission. It's really just a few clicks. Within a couple minutes, you're off to the races. You can tell your story and then start getting funded directly within this launchpad, and then have a token and have liquidity for that token. Yeah, it's a pretty powerful technology based on all of the new updates from Juicebox. So Juicebox now has their V4 contracts, which are multi-chain. Everything that we were doing before with Juicebox was happening with like a pretty big gas fee on mainnet. So people would be getting hit with like $5, $10 fees just per transaction. Nowadays on these L2s, you can do transactions for a penny essentially. So yeah, I think that essentially with the improvements in on-ramps and then also the extremely low transaction fees, we're really set to see a wave of consumer adoption in crypto where you don't really need to go through a very painful onboarding experience to interact with these tools. So yeah, really excited for all of that. I also want to go into some of the updates on the website. So this has been a lot of fun, just kind of polishing up a bunch of the views throughout the website. Big shout out to Miguel, who's joining us for the summer as an intern. He's done a lot of great work and just improving the overall functionality of the website. Now you get this big video that autoplays on the website. Michi put together this video, which is really great, explaining MoonDAO. We're going to continue adding more content to the page, but yeah, there's been a pretty massive redesign. The citizens, teams, our map is really starting to fill out. So you're starting to see some actual density in some areas. So Houston, we have 4 citizens. Shout out to Andrew, Anjabab, Amy. Yeah, San Francisco, we've got 3 citizens. So we're starting to get to a place where we can start to organize more local meetups. We're around the world, as you guys can see. We do need to fill in more of China. We have a big MoonDAO community in China, but not as many citizens, unfortunately. The proposal revamp. So now you can very easily see proposals, vote on proposals, iMooney, LockMooney, BridgeMooney. Projects have gotten an upgrade as well. So like Ryan has already said, after this this demo, you will be able to vote directly here on this interface to reward projects. This was already functional, but now has received a big aesthetic upgrade. Marketplace. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of views within the app. News. You can see all of our town hall or all of our newsletters. The documentation is now integrated. So a lot of small things that have really improved the overall functionality, usability of the app, and we're going to continue to improve the app. Basically, take everything that we have here, and a big kind of future direction is to turn it into like one main dashboard where you can get a quick overview of everything that's new at MoonDAO. See all of the key statistics and analytics from MoonDAO all in one place, and have quick actions like creating a proposal, voting on proposals, all of the things that you do throughout the app, but all in one spot to make it really easy and intuitive to use. So going back to the final report.
Can you zoom in a little bit on this? It's super small for us.
Sorry. Let's see, is this better? Cool. Yeah, so a lot of that groundwork for the Launchpad has been done over the last quarter. In this next quarter, we're going to be working on rolling out some of these new initiatives. We've been working with a few different groups, helping them in the process of like designing their Launchpad initiatives. We have some really exciting stuff in the works, but I don't want to jump in too quick with announcing any of them yet. We're making progress on that front, educating people about the Launchpad, showing them the functionality, and getting to a point where they're feeling like they're ready to launch their campaign. So I'm going to move on to Objective 2. So this one is less flashy, but basically Objective 2 is going well if you don't notice things. So if all of the core operations of the DAO are happening, it's kind of like, everything is as expected, everything's working. So I think we've done a pretty good job on that. Proposals have been going up at the right times. People have been voting fine. So basically managing the entirety of the DAO's operations end to end. And then the third objective is around electing a third astronaut. So that will happen in the next quarter. This hasn't happened yet, but we've prepared for some of these changes via some of the Constitution amendments that have gone through over the past couple of weeks. Some of them are still active, so give those a look and read those through and vote. And yeah, that's essentially it for the executive branch. Maybe I'll just briefly also do See in Space London, and then we can open up for questions generally for both the executive branch and See in Space London. Cool. So See in Space London was a conference that happened in late April, if I remember correctly. So this was a couple months ago. It was a conference organized by Space for a Better World, who we've worked with in the past, and is basically dedicated to the intersection of both sea and space. And it was very interesting because we got to interact with the whole ocean community, and surprisingly, there is a ton of overlap between the two groups. So we worked with Christina on this conference. I attended on the ground, spoke at a panel with the CTO of Planet Labs, with Rodrigo Sa, who's an investor in the space, and then I think he was a former ambassador to the United States, I want to say. I'm not sure if I got that right, but former ambassador from Mongolia, who's interested in developing Mongolia's presence in space, which is very interesting. So some of the results, we also invited Michael Castle-Miller, who has joined us before in previous town halls, to join from the LDC as a guest from MoonDAO's end. Yeah, some of the results here. We had Chris Stott speak just a couple weeks ago, and that was a really interesting conversation. Highly recommend people check that out. It's on our YouTube. Yeah, Chris Stott is the founder of Lone Star Holdings, working on data centers on the moon. We also got to reconnect with a bunch of people at that conference, like Nicole, who has expressed interest in supporting one of our initiatives on the Launchpad, which is really cool. So yeah, that's essentially all that I have between See in Space London and the executive branch, and I'll open it up to any questions.
Phil had a question here in the comments. He was just wanting to know what happens to the token once a project, or a mission in this case, terminates or completes or ends, basically. What happens after the raise, Pablo?
Cool. Yeah, great question. So so there are two outcomes. One is the project doesn't reach its goal. So similar to a Kickstarter, if they don't raise enough money, the platform itself doesn't get any of a percentage of the amount that's raised, and then refunds become available. So essentially, the project will set a minimum goal essentially for success. So if they're trying to launch a hardware project to the moon and it's going to cost, say, $1 million, and they don't raise $1 million and they can't send the hardware to the moon, then they can enable refunds, and everyone who funded that mission can get their money back. So that's the sad case. But it's actually important because it means that you can contribute to these missions, and then know that your contribution will only go through if the mission has received enough funding to actually such that it can actually get off the ground. And then in the happy case, if it goes through, then essentially a token is launched. 1% of the fees of every trade goes to a pool for vMOONEY holders, which is really awesome. Basically, the value accrues to vMOONEY holders, which is really cool. And then it's up to the team essentially to to figure out how that token integrates into their ecosystem, so they can use it for, say, membership and any of their communication channels. They can use it for voting, for proposals. They can have it managed treasury, basically do all the things that MoonDAO has been doing via its governance. So,
hey Pablo, the question is on that last topic. So, for a project that does have a definite outcome, or a completion moment, or if a project it decides to terminate and not continue, and no longer is going to use that token, and no matter the reason, they decide we are going to stop using this token to do activities. What happens to the token that's in circulation, and are there going to be a bunch of dummy tokens floating around? And is that okay?
So your question is, what if they succeed? So what if they raise the amount that they need?
Yeah, there's a project that has a definite outcome or goal, like fund us attending this conference or sponsoring this conference, or let's going on this trip and having an event where we do it a neutral buoyancy lab excursion where MoonDAO community members get to practice being on the moon. That's an event. That's a fee that has a definite end date, but would be useful to raise money for. If the raise would be used and the token is dispersed, no matter how they end up using that token, at the end, once that event is over, they don't need that token anymore. So what happens?
So the token is actually optional. So you can also disable the token and just do a regular crowd raise without a token, and that's perfectly fine.
So if there's no direct integration for a token to be used long-term in perpetuity, that's the part that I'm questioning, is what happens to the tokens that are just out there in circulation, even if the project maybe dies out from lack of interest or something like that. Once a token is launched, what is the end of its life cycle?
So yeah, if a project doesn't really benefit from a token, or if they don't really see themselves supporting the token long term, then they don't need to launch with a token. They can just raise funds for an initiative, and then get that funding, and then it's basically kind of like a Kickstarter. So that's totally fine. So I guess the other case, so you're saying okay, what if they did elect to use a token? What if they were successful? What if they did launch a token, but then eventually the token
got
itself,
halfway and someone, life got in the way, and the project didn't, the project was going, and then let's say it stopped, or nobody was available to work on it anymore. There's a token in circulation that's doing nothing. What's the end of the token's life cycle?
Well, it would be up to that project to figure out how they want to wind down. There have been tons of DAOs or startups or any initiative that winds down, and sometimes they choose to just have redeem the rest of the treasury via the token. Other times,
so basically, it would be it's a token and it's part of that now. It's not, maybe MoonDAO would be able to provide guidance to the project to advise them on what to do with it, but it's once the token is launched, it's kind of like when a cell finally breaks off after mitosis and it becomes its own thing. That's kind of what's happening when the thing launches. It's out of MoonDAO's hands. We can advise you on what to do with it, but the token is just out there.
Right. It's a tool for teams in the network. So they're really in control of their how they want to use it going forward. So if at some point they want to shut down, we can advise them on best practices for shutting down. But it's really going to be up to any other company or any other startup or any other DAO. It's going to be unique to their situation.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any more questions, but I would request if a demo if you have like a team that went through all the steps and to see what it's like to actually do a launch, a demo walking through it or a tutorial or something. I'd love to see that. Thank you.
Yep, we'll make videos available with kind of the walkthrough end to end. Yep, thanks, Phil. Cool. Any other questions?
There's a question in the chat. I'm going to read it on their behalf from Matt. What are your plans for how MOONEY will be used on the moon? It might not be relevant. You can choose to answer it if you want to or not.
Right. Well, yeah, not relevant to final reports, but still a very interesting question. Yeah, I mean, I can see a lot of ways that you'd. So I'll start with this. Like, it doesn't make sense to use credit cards on the moon. It's not going to make sense to use traditional payment rails. You know, you're going to want something that makes it simple for systems to coordinate with one another in situ. So a peer-to-peer currency makes a lot of sense for transactions, especially for autonomous systems. So yeah, the majority of the economy on the surface of the moon is going to be autonomous. And so you have one company that wants to transact and work with another company. They will likely require some method of payment that is peer-to-peer. And so I think that there's a huge need for simple methods of transactions that autonomous systems can plug into on a peer-to-peer basis. And what seems to be a kind of a surprising solution, if I'm being honest, is blockchain. It makes a ton of sense for those types of use cases. And then what currency will be used? You know, I think there'll be, just like how there are tons of currencies being used here on Earth, there will likely be a lot of currencies being used on the moon, stable coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and in some cases, maybe MOONEY. It makes sense to use some of the DAO's governance. Yeah, especially if MoonDAO is going to be funding infrastructure and putting it on the surface of the moon, maybe use of that infrastructure could be done using MOONEY. So that'd be a really awesome future. I hope it comes to fruition, and maybe the Launchpad can help make some of that possible.
Cool. I don't know if anyone has any other questions related to these two final reports that Pablo was presenting here. But yeah, yes, in the meantime, if anything pops up, but yeah, voting is open now for the project distributions on these final reports, these 3 projects. Mitchie just shared the link here in the ground control chat. So it's just moondao.com/projects. All you got to do is connect your wallet and distribute your 100 points, your 100% to the 3 different projects. If you contribute to a project, you won't be eligible to, if you worked on a project or contributed to a project, you won't be able to distribute to that project. But otherwise, everyone else here will be able to submit to all 3 projects and then just click submit. It will be open for the next 5 days or so. And yeah, obviously, if you have any issues, let us know in general, or open up a support ticket. Also, on that note, Pablo did allude to it briefly, but the Constitution vote was, or the 2 constitutional amendments were reposted on Snapshot. You will need to go to vote.moondao.com as opposed to the voting portal on the website to cast your votes for this repost, because we were essentially just, because of an error with Snapshot, we had to repost these. And per the Constitution, they need to be up for 14 days in total. So there are 2 days left on these 2 constitutional amendment votes. Please do get your votes in before then. But yeah. All right, Pablo, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to cover there. You're good? Okay.
No, well, I guess I'll just say, yeah, thank you all for the questions. Yeah, really, so I just want to highlight how important this whole ritual or process is for the DAO. This is the biggest way that the community gives feedback on what is valuable, so yeah, it's really important. And then also this quarter we only had three projects that are being submitted. So there's quite a big pool. So if you go on the website for projects, there's like $42,000 that we are putting in this quarter. And this is something that we do for the community to help get projects off of the ground, to support what everyone in the audience here is doing. So yeah, if you have ideas for proposals that help accelerate a sustained human presence on the lunar surface, submit a project. We want to see more projects next quarter. We want to fund more ideas. Yeah, I guess selfishly for the DAO, if we have more people submitting projects, then we can fund more interesting and cool things. And so yeah, we want to see you guys thrive. If you guys are thriving, then we're thriving. Please submit more projects.
Here, well said. Yeah, obviously you can start submitting projects now. I mean, we're in Q3 now. It's kicked off, even though we're doing the final reports here, but we are live now. Cool. I just shared a link here too. I guess that wraps up our final report presentations and demo day. I did just share a link here as well to some upcoming speakers that we've got lined up. We got Andy Aldrin coming up next Thursday, which would be super cool, pretty close to the Apollo 11 moon landing anniversary when his dad obviously walked on the moon, but he's also a space policy expert. Super knowledge about geopolitics, could be an interesting conversation. Also, Hoyt Davidson coming up the week after that. At the link I shared, moondao.com/events, that was another one of the links there, or one of the pages on the website that was revamped. It features all these events where you can RSVP, get reminders, get that straight to your inbox or SMS, help stay connected with what we're doing, what's coming up, who's coming up. There's some more folks that are scheduled a little further out too, so you want to check that out. Also, we got rocket launches and stuff on that page, but yeah, looking good, the new design. Yeah, we'll probably just open floor in the Major Tom channel as opposed to opening up here, since we're coming up on the top of the hour. So if you do have other things that you want to share, please do hop over into Major Tom, and it'll just be more of an informal discussion and chat. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and looking forward to seeing your votes and also the community contributions going out for everyone who contributed last quarter. Obviously, another call to action: if you had any contributions, please do submit them to our contribution portal. Whatever you're working on independently, it doesn't need to be a MoonDAO project to get rewarded by the MoonDAO community, as long as it advances our multiplanetary mission, lunar base mission. Pablo?
Awesome. Nothing to add. Thanks, everyone.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. See you next week.
Welcome to MoonDAO, a revolutionary governance model and mission-oriented community that's reshaping collaboration in the space industry. Our mission is to create a self-sustaining, self-governing settlement on the moon to act as a launch point into the cosmos. MoonDAO is governed like a nation, with its own economy, constitution, voting system, treasury, elections, and senate, but internet native, and so without the limitations of geography. In 2022, we sent our first member to space, showcasing our model's capacity for real-world impact. Now, we're implementing key solutions for global collaboration in the space industry. We offer a borderless, permissionless platform that enables everyday people to participate in the future of space development and exploration. Be part of our lunar legacy and join the MoonDAO movement today.